Hey, and what is up, guys? It's Scion Life back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about 5 tips for buying your first used car. Now, my goal with this video is really to help you not be a tire kicker, and since buying a car is the second largest purchase you'll make in your lifetime, you do need to be knowledgeable about what you're purchasing and how you're going about it. So, this isn't like an all-inclusive guide about how to buy a car, but I'm just going to give you some tips to help you not get screwed over along the way. So, without further ado, let's get on to the video. So my first tip for you guys is going to be to check for rust and frame damage on the car. This is especially true for cars that have spent a lot of time in snowy or cold climates, and this is due to the fact that they put salt on the roads and the salt gets up into the metal on the undercarriage of the car. People don't wash it out and then it tends to rust the metal. But this is also true for the frame damage part with salvage cars or cars that have been in an accident, because sometimes dealers will try to hide stuff from you and sell you a car, but you can get underneath the car and you can see if the car has frame damage by looking for cracks, or you can look for rust by it. I mean, it'll be obvious that there's rust all over the bottom of the car that you're trying to buy. So I do have a little story for this. A couple years ago, my dad was trying to buy a Jeep, and it had spent a lot of time up north, and they were offering an okay price, and this was a used car dealership. And the dealers were really just trying to get my dad just in and out. But my dad went and looked underneath the car, and there was a ton of rust underneath there, and we left immediately, as you should if you find that kind of stuff. And really, I mean, if you see that kind of stuff, you don't even need to waste your time at a dealership like that, because they're just lying to you and trying to make a profit and get you in and out as quickly as possible. So make sure to check for rust and frame damage, because you never know if the dealer's really telling you the truth about the car or not. And moving on to the second tip that I'm going to give you guys, this one's a really important one, and it's to check Kelley Blue Book or a similar website. And this is because you want to make sure that you're getting a good price for the mileage and the wear of the car. All you have to do is go online, put in the mileage of the car, make, model, all that good stuff. You put it in, it spits out an average price for cars that are selling within that range. And you can also put in, what kind of wear it has, whether it's in good condition, bad condition, whatever. You can put that in and check, and that's a really good way to see if it's a good price, a bad price, or somewhere in between. And even if you do go to a dealership and they have a firm asking price and it's an average price, you shouldn't automatically go with that car, just because there will always be a better deal out there for the exact same car. You just have to really look for it. And the third tip on this list is going to be, don't be afraid to walk out on a deal. Even if it's an okay deal, be willing to look around when buying your first car. And this is because car buying is a process. It's not something that you just go to your local CarMax, you see the first car, you like it, you buy it, regardless of the price. That's not how it should be. Buying a car, especially your first car, you want it to be something reliable and good, and you want a good price as well. And so looking around is important, even if it takes you a couple of months. You need to be able to look around, see what prices you can get at other dealerships in the area, and don't fool around with salesmen, because they'll use tactics like, if you go in and you're kind of on the edge about buying a certain car after they give you a firm number, they'll tell you things like, this car may not be here tomorrow, or the prices may change. It's just, they're just trying to get you to buy the car now because they want a profit. But there are plenty of cars out there if you don't like the price that they're giving you. And odds are, if they do have a good price and you look around for a couple days, can't find anything better, you can come back and still get the car for the same price. It's not like it's just going to be there one day and gone the next day like they say. You have a little bit of leeway, you have time, and like I said, it is a process, so really just take your time and find a good deal. So tip number 4 that I'm going to give you guys, and this is something you should do before you even think about walking into a dealership, and it's to do background research on the car that you're wanting. You want to check for reliability issues, especially with certain year models and engines, and get a gauge on how it would do in your life and your financial situation. Like, for example, you don't want to go in and buy a mid 2000s BMW if you don't have money to sort it out later on down the road, because some did have electrical issues, some had, motor issues, especially turbo models, as you guys probably already know. But you want to get on forums, you want to look at YouTube videos, you want to look at car reviews, different articles on the internet, and just make sure that's really the car that you want to be looking for and that it'll fit your daily life, because that's the most important thing. The second most amount of time in your life will be spent inside of this vehicle. It's going to be taking you to and from work, or to and from, on vacations, or, just wherever, out having fun. You don't want to be plagued with a bunch of reliability issues, especially if your financial situation is not in a place where you can afford a lot of issues in a car. And last but not least, with coming in at the fifth tip on this list, you want to check for engine and gearbox wear on the car that you're getting. For example, you want to kind of get into these questions. Is the engine making noise? Is it slow to start? Is the engine knocking? Because if it's making noise, it could be something as minor as a timing belt, but you also have to think to yourself, if it was something as minor as a timing belt, the car dealership would have went ahead and already fixed it. And so you really want to ask questions. You do want to ask the salesman those questions. If you hear something abnormal or that's not right, you do want to ask the salesman, see what he has to say about it, and then go home and do some research on it. Now, you also want to see if the gearbox is okay. Is the clutch slipping? By that, I mean, when you go to press down on the gas, if it's an automatic, if you go to press down on the gas, it kind of takes it a minute and then it lurches into like driving, into going. That's kind of a bad sign for a bad clutch. Now, does it grind when you shift? Now, this is also a bad one, as it could be an issue with the flywheel, could be an issue also with the clutch. But if you have to ask any of these questions, most likely it's going to be a very hefty repair bill for you later on down the road. Something else you want to look for, you want to make sure that the drive is smooth and that the suspension drives well. How does it go over bumps? If there's speed bumps around, if you go over them, does the car bounce up and down? Are the shocks new? Does the suspension feel good? You want to make sure the ride quality is good, because like I said before, the second most amount of time in your life you're going to be spending in your car. First most will be in your house, but the second most is going to be inside of your car. You want to make sure it's something comfortable, something that you can drive around on a daily basis. And also, you want to verify that the service records have proper engine and gearbox upkeep, so that, if there was a recall or something, you can go in and see if it did go in for the recall and got something fixed, or if there's a common issue with the car that happens that you've seen on forums, but they've already taken it in to get fixed at some point, then you can kind of rest easy, at least for a little bit. And another thing is that you want to make sure the mileage is in a reliable range. And by this, engines, they have lifespan. They can only last for so long. And you don't want to go and buy, for example, a 100,000 mile first engine RX-8 if the average engine life is only 80,000 miles. That just doesn't make any sense. You're going to end up blowing the engine, and that's going to be a ton of money down the drain. So really just make sure whenever you're driving the car that it's smooth, everything feels right, and that you don't hear anything, most importantly. Well, I hope that you guys are able to take something away from this video, and that you don't end up as tire kickers or getting screwed over by a shady dealership. But as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and following along for more content like this. But for now, this is Scion Life, signing out.